Welcome everybody, it is Rob from Board Games, and we are here with another Secrets of Magic Pathfinder 2nd Edition video. And this time we'll be looking at the Summoner class. Now, you may have remembered I did a brief discussion about the Magus and Summoner classes back when we saw the playtest preview a while back, talking about the classes, what we saw about them. And based on my initial look, I did kind of feel that the Summoner was actually better than the Magus in terms of versatility and just built better personally. So let's see what they did with the Summoner now that it's fully fleshed out. With the Summoner, your key ability is Charisma, and plus your Con modifier for hit points. So you have a lot of hit points, which I think makes sense because you have your Eidolon, I think, takes his hit points a bit from you as well. So it makes sense to be a bit more beefier than your kind of normal wizard type character. Trained in perception, trained in number of skills, determined by your Eidolon, trained determined based on your Eidolon. So your Eidolon basically chooses a lot of what spells you choose, depending on if you want to be a divine caster or if you want to be a primal caster, and so forth. So obviously the first thing that's going to come into play is your Eidolon, which is pretty much your summon, your main summon that kind of travels with you. And you can pretty much, they give you ideas for the Eidolon. You can change what it looks like, but they give you a general, like a beast one, for instance, or an angelic one. And then it kind of gives you the properties, but you can decide what its appearance may look like. And obviously you'll gain feats and special abilities that will increase the overall strength of your particular Eidolon. Manifest Eidolon. Takes 3 cost. It spawns into play, basically. It is a tether between you, so it must be within 100 feet of you at all times. If it's forced beyond this distance, or you are knocked to 0 hit points, your Eidolon dissolves. So what that does mean is if you get knocked out, when you wake back up, your Eidolon you have to spend 1 whole turn to manifest your Eidolon back again. It is a manipulate action, so it will provoke. Keep that in mind as well. However, your Eidolon is not a mere minion. It doesn't have the minion trait or anything like that. You share your actions and multiple attack penalty. Each round you can use any of your actions for yourself or your Eidolon. You get to choose between that. Act together. So once per round, you and your Eidolon act as one. Either you or your Eidolon take an action or activity using the same number of actions as act together, and the other takes a single action. So for example, if you spend 2 actions to act together, you could cast Burning Hands, 2 actions, and your Eidolon could attack, 1 action. Or your Eidolon could use a breath weapon, 2 actions, and you can use stride action. So essentially what this does is, so once per round, you can do something together at the same time. That you're going to be doing pretty much non-stop, let's just be honest. Share senses. You project your senses into your Eidolon. So pretty much you kind of go, you go full Bren from Game of Thrones, and you can see everything that your Eidolon sees. Lastly, the connection between you and your Eidolon means you both share a single pool of hit points. So what that means is, that's why you have the 10 plus con modifier, because your hit points is your Eidolon's hit points. So if your Eidolon falls down, you fall. If you fall, your Eidolon disappears. That's why it disappears when you hit 0 hit points, because essentially that means your Eidolon has 0 hit points too. And what's good about it is that you could heal, like say you're in the back and you have your Eidolon fighting. If either one of you heals, it heals both of you basically. So that's good. An Eidolon can't use anything on it except for anything that has an Eidolon trait. And it has up to 2 items invested. Your Eidolons can be benefited from certain magic items invested to you. Let's see. Your Eidolon gains item bonuses to perception and skills from any magical items. It also increases its item bonus to AC based on your armor potency rune or braces of armor. Same for resilient runes. So your AC kind of defensive runes that you have will apply to your Eidolon. Your Eidolon strike benefits from the fundamental and property runes on your hand wraps of Mighty Blows. Alternatively, you can invest a magic weapon to share its fundamental and property runes with your Eidolon. You can, but it makes sense because not everyone's going to have the hand wraps of Mighty Blows on them. This will let you take any magic weapon, invest into it, and when you invest into it, you can share whatever runes on it with your Eidolon. Say you have a +2 striking flaming scimitar, you can transfer those runes to your Eidolon's attacks so that it can get, a +2 striking flaming attacks to it. Lost and altered actions. If you or your Eidolon become slowed, stunned, quickened, or otherwise affected, it affects your shared actions. However, if you are both subject to the effect, apply only the severe one. So, if one of you is slowed 1 and the other one is slowed 2, you take the slow 2 effect as the overall effect that hits you with it. That makes sense. So, the other part of it just basically says that you control your Eidolon fully. Basically, you choose what it does, and if there's ever like a decision on like who should act, you normally act out first. And you can get spell casting. It obviously depends on whatever school of magic you get it from. And we can see, similar to the Magus, that it has the same concept of you get 4 spells per level basically, and your cantrips. So you lose a lot of your spell casting ability, but you make up for it with this powerful Eidolon that can do a bunch of things with it. This is to swap spells, link spells. You can cast link spells or type of focus spells. So that's probably your focus type spell for a summoner. And you can automatically refocus them, they automatically heighten up and all that. And this just pretty much tells us the link spell, the evolution surge, for instance, that we saw from the playtest preview. Evolution feats, obviously, are feats that benefit your Eidolon. And everything else is just kind of the whole feats, expertise. You can see over here, substance increases for both of you. Unlimited signature spells, symbiosis, you can kind of strengthen your ability with your Eidolon and so forth. When Juggernaut gives you both Juggernauts, that's good. Defensive robes increases your unarmed defense proficiency. Shared Resolve to help you with your will save. So you have Shared Resolve and you have Juggernaut. Instant manifestation. So level 19, you can manifest as a single action as opposed to a 3-cost action. That's going to be big because, as we talked about, if you ever fall and you can bet at that high level, it's going to be right. Everybody who's played Pathfinder knows at the higher levels, it can be a bit rocket tag with the amount of damage it's done. So be careful about that. It is definitely good that you have the ability to one action summon it, and then you can spend your other 2 actions to do your act together in tandem to do an action and then give your Eidolon an action as well. Here we go. Here's the bread and butter right here. The Eidolons themselves. So this kind of goes into the different types of Eidolons. Arcane is usually some sort of magical essence to them. Divine usually kind of show up as angelic or demonic beings. Occult always has that weird like ectoplasmic or strange spiritual undead essence to it. And the primals, of course, like beasts, animals, plants, fae, those kind of things. When you make it, kind of gives you all the stats of how to read the entry and how to give it stats. You get to choose a primary attack. 1d8 damage, 1d6, 1d6, but it has different traits to them. So for instance, you can do 1d8 damage, but it doesn't have fatal, forceful, or deadly. It just has different aspects to it. Then your secondary attack is deadly and finesse. An Eidolon can cast a spell, but some of them can cast a spell. Some feats do give you the ability to cast spells. And of course, it uses your same spell DCs and all that. Alright, here we go. Angel Eidolon. This one I believe we saw from the playtest. And this was your divine one, which usually for the divine one, it gave you the ability to kind of cast divine spells. You must be good. And you see it kind of gives you a fist, a wing, and a bludgeoning attacks. And essentially, initial hollow strikes, symbiosis travels over Angelic Mercy. Hallowed Strikes means you do 1 good damage. Again, this actually only harms evil creatures of those weakness 2 good. Additionally, your ally can make non-lethal attacks with its unarmed attack. Traveler's Aura gives you the ability to essentially make it so you're protected from severe heat and cold, and your ally is never flat-footed to creatures inside the aura that are of lower level than it. So that's a good way to make sure that even if you get surrounded by enemies, your ally can't be flanked basically at that point. And then when you gain the Transcendence class feature, everyone's protected from the environmental damage from any plane, including severe and extreme heat. So this makes it even stronger. Angelic Mercy. Your ally ability to cast Remove Curse, Remove Disease, Remove Fear, and Remove Paralysis once per day as a 9th level spell. Now that's useful in the sense of being able to deal with some of the annoying conditions, curse, paralysis, without needing to prep a spell for it, or have your cleric or druid or wizard prep a spell for it. Your ally can cover it for you. And it casts as a 9th level spell, but it should help deal with anything that you make a hit with. Similar to what I talked about, I think, last time when we discussed the Angel Eidolon, is the Angel Eidolon is good in the sense of it's a very utility feeling type of Eidolon. You have the Divine Spell list, which gives you a lot of utility to it. The different effects it gives you does allow it to kind of be a good defender, have to deal with status effects, but it's not your kind of damage, doesn't have anything special like that unless you build it up that way. Anger Phantom. I think Anger Phantom is a new one, I believe. And this is a lost soul with an undying anger or a bitter grudge. This is an occult one, but has some sort of ethereal, ectoplasmic look to it. It even has a tendril or a fist. Furious Strike, Seething Frenzy, and Anger Aura. Okay. I'm assuming these are potential Anger Phantoms. Those are pretty cool looking. Furious Strike activity. Your island channels its anger into a furious attack. It makes a melee strike. This counts as 2 attacks when calculating your multiple attack penalty. If this strike hits, your island deals an extra die of weapon damage and gains a +1 circumstance bonus to the damage roll. If you're at least 10th level, increases to 2 extra dice, and if you're at least 18th level, increases to 3 extra dice. So this pretty much sounds like power attack in a way. It is essentially, it's power attack. If it hits, you do double dice damage. As you level up, it does more dice, but it counts as 2 attacks. So it's a 2 action, do 1 big attack to double the die. And again, if you're doing 1d8, it becomes a 2d8 potential damage you can pop out with it. Not bad. Seething Frenzy. While frenzied, your ally is affected by Boost Eidolon, that's a link spell, and gains temporary hit points to your level, but it takes a -2 penalty to the AC. So pretty much you get the Boost Eidolon stats and the temporary HP, which we'll go into at the end, all the different link spells. But it's a way for you to essentially get what probably sounds like a rage effect, essentially. Anger Aura. Your Eidolon exudes wrath in an aura around it, causing their defenses to crack as they seethe with rain. Your Eidolon gains a 20-foot Anger Aura. The resistances of any creatures in the aura, including you, your allies, your enemies, and your Eidolon are reduced by 3 plus your con modifier. Your Eidolon can hold in its raids by spending a single action, which has the Concentrate trait. This reduces the aura's effect to affect only your Eidolon. You can take this action again to reinstate the full effect of its aura. Creatures in a Barbarian Rage, Seething Frenzy, or a similar ability that allows them to channel their anger aren't affected by the Anger Aura. That's a really cool ability because 3 plus con, you figure your con modifier is probably 3 or 4 at least. So if it removes resistance by at least 7, 8 of any creature in the aura. So everybody takes 7 more damage, let's just say, is a random number. Alright. So right away you can see the difference between the Anger Phantom and the Angel, where the Anger Phantom is a lot more damage, a lot more in your face. It's gonna definitely more about attacking kind of. Beast Eidolon. The Beast Eidolon we did see in the playtest preview, and this was your primal one. So you have a Beast Charge, which was a 2-cost action. It allows you to strike twice and then attack. If it moved at least 20 feet in a straight line, it essentially gets a +1 to the attack roll. So that was good. It's also good to cover ground, because then you can follow up with a Primal Roar, which allows you to do a Primal Roar that demoralizes each enemy that can hear the roar, and it doesn't take up any penalty. So it's a 2-action AoE Demoralize. Also solid. And then Whirlwind Maul allows you to make a melee attack up to 4 enemies within reach. So I like the beast one definitely. The beast one is a really solid aspect. Gives you the primal list, which is a good list, and it gives you ability to cover ground quickly, to AoE demoralize. Frighten is a really useful condition to apply, and then it gives you an AoE. The construct Eidolon, this one I believe is new. I did not see this one from the playtest, and essentially is some sort of golem clockwork servitor type creature. There's the arcane tradition, makes sense. Crafting is a skill, so you can be a good crafter. And let's see what the abilities are. Your construct Eidolon has a link directly to your life force, which renders it a living creature and therefore susceptible to many ailments. It doesn't have a construct's normal immunities, because obviously a construct is immune to a lot of stuff, but does gain a +2 to saving throws against death, disease, necromancy, and poison effects, as well as anything that causes fatigue or sickened. Additionally, its astral essence bleeds off slowly, and it only needs to succeed at a DC 10 check to remove persistent bleed damage. So basically, it's easier to recover from bleeding because it's a construct. Reconfigured evolution. Your construct Eidolon is particularly easy to reconfigure. So pretty much you gain an extra evolution feat that you can retrain whenever you want. This takes I think a day, it says. With a crafting DC, which you should, because you have crafting as a skill anyway, as a craft Eidolon, as a construct Eidolon. I like how they say many summoners choose Eidolon's Rat for this ability. So we'll have to look into that feat, since the game actually is telling us what to play with. Ultimate reconfiguration. There's an evolution feat 16th level or lower. Most summoners select ever visual senses for this ability. So it's cool how it tells you what the basic normal one is, but you can choose any one you want and you can readjust it. Demon Eidolon, okay. I'm assuming this is the demon one, which by the way looks really cool. Divine Spell list makes sense. Demonic Strikes. All your Eidolon's unarmed strikes deal an extra 1 evil damage, so similar to the Angel. The Angel one does good damage, this one does evil damage. It gains the Vision of Sin ability. Targets a creature within 30 feet, tormenting and confusing it. Must make a will save. The effects last until the end of your next turn, but your Eidolon can extend it to a maximum of 1 minute. If the target is evil, it takes a -2 penalty to its save. On a success, the target can't use reactions, so you can do it to cut down any reactions for a whole minute. Failure, slow 1 and can't use reactions. Or a crit fail, slowed 1, can't use reactions, and is confused for 1 round. Not bad. Not bad. And you can do it once per 10 minutes. So you can pretty much, do it at least a few times a day. Try and weaken a particular enemy. Blasphemous Decree. It can cast an evil divine decree once per day as a 9th level spell. You're unaffected by this even if you aren't evil. At 19th level, it becomes a 10th level divine decree. It has the ability to cast a 10th level spell. Alright? Now I'm going to pull it up on the side screen for myself. I do remember looking at this spell a little bit, but we will check it out for you guys. Because being able to cast the spell is interesting. So, it's a 40-foot emanation. It's going to be evil. It has to be evil. So it's heightened up to 9th level, so it's going to be a 9d10. 2 creatures in the area. They must make a fortitude save. Any creature with an alignment that matches the one you choose is unaffected, so evil creatures don't take... That's... So that's going to be a problem. So it's a really powerful spell. At 10th level, it does 10d10. And because it does half damage on success, on a failure, it takes full damage and enfeeble 2. Critical failure, double damage, enfeeble 2. If it's on your home plane, it is banished. And if it's on a 9th level spell, it would be a 14th level or lower. or on a 10th level, 16 level lower, must paralyze on a must make a will save. If they fail, paralyze, crit fail, they die. Now, obviously at 16th level and you're level 19 might be a bit much. But the issue I have with this one is, let's face it, there's a good chance in most campaigns that you probably are facing evil people, evil aligned people. So that means the spell does nothing to them. Otherwise, it would have been a really cool ability. You do nice little AoE. Bit more probably used than, in my opinion, than the, say, Angel one. But that one last thing kind of picked it in for me to say no. The Devotion Phantom. Devotion Phantom has an important task or duty. This is an occult one. Your Eidolon deeply respects your assistant and extends its loyalty to you. Dutiful retaliation. Your Eidolon is within 15 feet of you. I think this one may have been in the playtest. It sounds familiar. But pretty much if something hits you, it can attack the person even if they're not within reach of the Eidolon itself. So pretty much something attacks you, your Eidolon will automatically hit them back. So that's a good little ability. Already pretty cool. Occult list, also good. Eidolon gains a +2 bonus to saving throws against mental. And if they have roll success, you get a critical success instead. If you have the Shared Resolve class feature, they have a critical fail, it becomes a fail instead. So this makes them better against mental effects. Devotion Aura. Whenever one of your Eidolon's allies within the aura takes damage, you can reduce the damage by your Eidolon's Constitution modifier. You lose a number of hit points equal to half the amount by which the Eidolon reduced the damage, rounded down. If the damage was lower than the con modifier, base the damage you take on the actual amount of damage prevented. Figure con is a 3. If it increases up to maybe 4 or 5, you can reduce the damage by 5 to anybody in the area, but then you take 2 hit points of damage every time. Now you have a lot of hit points because you have 10 plus your con modifier, so you can afford to kind of take the hits for people. So you can see where that kind of goes. It's okay. I mean, I think it's an interesting one. It's a very good defensive Eidolon. Has an aura to help damage, has the kind of ability to help you, attack somebody if they attack you back, all that good stuff. The Dragon Eidolon. This one I think was in the playtest, and we've seen this one kind of. It's a dragon. Let's just be honest. It's a dragon. Arcane aspect. You get a breath weapon. There's 1d6 damage to all creatures in the area. Obviously, you choose it based on whatever kind of element your Eidolon is. And the damage increases by 1d6 every 2 levels, basically. At level 7, it gets Draconic Frenzy, which allows it to make 3 attacks with 2 actions. And same thing, it also has the momentum effect as well, where if it crits, it automatically recovers the breath weapon. And Worm's Breath, if your Eidolon's next action is to use breath weapon, both the number of damage dice and area are doubled. So once per minute, so you can do it quite a bit. At 17th level, you're looking at 2d6, 14, so that's 7. So 9d6 would make it an 18d6 breath weapon that can probably do the whole room. So I believe I talked about this in the playtest, and yeah, that is good. I mean, you can't go wrong. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of dragon Eidolons in play. It's a dragon. You get the arcane spell list as your tradition. You gain, it has dark vision, it has draconic. The Fey Eidolon. I don't think Fey was in the last one. It may have been actually. Primal, but see Fey gift spells below. Makes sense. Small and medium. Fey gift spells. When you add spells to your repertoire, you can choose from the primal list as well as from the enchantment and illusion spells that appear on the arcane spell list. So what this means is you get to do all your primal spells, but you also get any enchantment spells or illusion spells from the arcane spell list. And also gains the magical understudy summoner feat, which we'll go over when we go to the summoner feats. And it can choose Fey Gift cantrips in addition to primal cantrips. It can cast spells, it can also cast the same type of spells as you can. Fey Mischief gives it the magical adept feat, allowing it to choose some more spells. And Fey Chicanery, during your daily preparations, you Eidolon can cast a contingency spell, and it must choose a 4th level spell to come from either the primal or Fey Gift list. Alright. It's cute. I mean, for a Fey creature, it's probably good in the sense of giving you that ability to cast illusion spells and enchantments. I think if you want to play like a Fey type character, it's a cool one. Nothing wrong with it in my opinion. A plant Eidolon. That's interesting. Like this could be like a plant Eidolon. Or a Fey one. Could be both really. Sylvan, primal, Angel Strike. Normally attacks a foe beyond its reach, so it pretty much makes it have to do an attack that has reach. And if it doesn't normally have reach for its attack. If it does have reach, it makes it stronger. All your Eidolon's melee unarmed attacks gain the reach trait at level 7, which means at level 7 it held 10 feet. You use the Angel Strike ability, it'll then allow it to do 15 feet. So it'll have a 15-foot range for its melee attack. That's not bad. Field of Roots. Your Eidolon extends its roots on the ground to entangle and possibly damage all foes nearby. All enemies within your Eidolon's reach, so at this point it would be 10, unless you have something else to do it, take damage of the same type and amount as your Eidolon's most damaging strike. And pretty much it buries its roots into the ground and it does an AoE on everybody, but it has to stay there. It can't move unless it detaches itself. Once it detaches itself, all the effects fall off. So on a success, they take no damage, but there's a minus 10 foot penalty, a speed penalty. Failure takes half damage, takes a minus 10 penalty, and then at the end of each of its turns, takes half damage. And a critical fail is immobilized, full damage, takes full damage. My question is, if you're immobilized, I guess you could try and escape it, I guess, right? Yeah. It's an interesting ability. So the reason I want to talk about this ability is, think about how it works. You basically are, if you can put it in a specific spot, it can be a really good control effect. Because what it does, it slows down speed. It also does damage to anything within its range. If they stay within its range, you continually take more damage. The ongoing effects stay, so like if they fail it the first time, they'll take half damage until they leave. So that's actually an interesting way to essentially make a good like damage over time effect. You put it in a place that will like protect either your spellcasters, or you could do it to protect like in the front line to kind of like cut off an area. Anybody trying to get to your back line will get hit by the roots, or you can use it to kind of help reinforce your frontliners to really kind of immobilize them and make them have AoE damage to really slow them down. That's actually more impressive than I thought it was when I first read it. When I first read it, I was like, that's okay. But this one actually looks a lot better. Pretty good. I have to say that one's actually was a lot more impressive than I thought it was going to be. The Psychopomp. This one I believe was the one that we saw in the playtest. This one gives you the Occult, Divine, and it gives you Unarmed Strike, affects incorporeal creatures as though with a Ghost Touch, and does an extra 1 damage to living or 1 positive to undead. So it can affect ethereal creatures basically. Hidden Watcher. Once per hour, it can cast invisibility targeting you, them, or both of you at once. So it has a free invisibility spell. Spirit Taker. Your Eidolon can attack incorporeal creatures inside of solid objects and can attack them without penalty. An incorporeal creature in a solid object that takes damage from your Eidolon strike is expelled from the object. Additionally, an Eidolon can target or affect a creature projecting its consciousness. Finally, an undead destroyed by your Eidolon strike is sent directly to the boneyard. An undead with an ability to avoid such a fate, such as a rejuvenation effect from a ghost, can attempt a counter check against your spell DC to return via normal. In that case, you use this will save modifier, so pretty much you can stop rejuvenation effects from undead. Wow. Okay. That's interesting. That's an interesting effect, I have to say. So with that, now we have the summoner feats. Now for the summoner feats, I am going to, similar to what I kind of talked about in the Magus video, if it's one that we may have seen before, I'm going to try and not go over them as in-depth. Any new feats we'll talk about. Alright, let's kick it off. Advanced weaponry. Your Eidolon gains either disarm, grapple, non-lethal, shove, trip, or versatile damage. Your studies allows you to be trained in one of the skills, and then you become trained in the other skill. Pretty much it allows you to increase your skill of both you and your Eidolon. Energy Heart. These are, keep in mind, this is also an evolution one. Advanced weaponry and Energy Heart. Choose an energy damage type other than force. One of its unarmed damage types change to it. So its attack can gain, fire or cold. And it gains resistance to that type. Expanded Senses gives your Eidolon low light and dark vision, as well as imprecise sense of a scent. So that's a good way to give it away, especially because you can use its senses to see. You can use it to scout. Extend Boost. You can increase the duration of your Eidolon's boost. You learn the Extend Boost Link spell. Look at that next later. Glider Form. Your Glider Form allows your Eidolon to have wings or some sort of way to essentially glide. It will move towards the ground 5 feet down and up to 25 feet forward through the air. And it can it remains in the air. So say you're going down like a 20-foot drop, it can go like 25 feet, 25 feet, 25 feet, 25 feet. As long as it can stay in the air. Melt into Eidolon, we saw this from the playtest, and this was a way to essentially become the Eidolon. So you and your Eidolon pretty much share space, you kind of become one melded thing together. Unfeather Eidolon. This allows you to get the Unfeather Eidolon Link spell, which will increase the range of how far the Eidolon can stay from you. That's a cool little picture. Alacrist's action. Your Eidolon moves more quickly, gains a +10 to its speed. Solid. Amphibious Form gives it a swim speed. Also allows it to breathe in water and air. Or if it's aquatic, normally it gains a land speed. So this allows you to travel both in water and on land. Magical Understudy. It regards the ability to cast a spell. Remember, the Fey one gets this automatically. So the Fey Eidolon gets to cast spells automatically. And it gets to cast spells, including ones from, say, the illusion spells. Ranged Combatant gives it a ranged unarmed attack with a range increment of 30 feet that deals 1d4 damage. And you get to choose what type of damage it can do. Reinforced Eidolon gives it the Reinforced Eidolon link. Again, we'll look at all the link spells later. Steed Form. You turn your Eidolon into a steed. You don't have to worry about, reducing how many actions you get. You're riding a mount. And it pretty much, your Eidolon still has to be one size larger than you. But it's a cool little way to do it. Bloodletting Claws. Whenever it crits with an attack, it gains resistant bleed damage. That's a pretty cool effect. So, giving you ability to do bleed. Defend Summoner. Your Eidolon blocks attacks against you, +2 bonus to the AC once it uses the ability. However, you must be next to it in most cases. So pretty much, if you're next to it, it gives you +2 AC. Dual Energy Heart gives you the ability to do a second energy type, which is versatile. So that's actually really cool, because it means, so say you pick fire at level 1, and then you're going, okay, fire is cool, but maybe I'm going into a very hot, very fire-based dungeon. My fire attacks are going to do nothing because it does fire damage. I can change it to do cold. And I can use it as a versatile trait to essentially switch the damage type. And then when I want to go back to something weak to fire, I just switch it back to fire. That's actually pretty cool. I like that one. Lifelink Surge, not bad. It's just another spell. I've upgraded this must your Eidolon to reduce the damage it takes. So reduce the triggering damage to your Eidolon by double your level and your Eidolon unmanifests. So what I would do with this reaction is, say your Eidolon's about to take an attack that's going to kill it. If it defeats it, you could potentially say at a level 4, it'll remove 8 damage. That 8 damage might keep you alive. Your Eidolon poofs, but you'll stay up. However, you can't manifest it next turn, you have to wait a turn. But you at least have a chance to stay up, get out of the way, then hopefully next turn resummon it to kind of get back into the fight. Shrink down, let your Eidolon shrink to small. That could be useful. Vibration sense gives it tremor sense. Or if it's aquatic, gains wave sense, so forth. Blood frenzy. So blood frenzy is come from the bleeding claws. It gives the ability of boost Eidolon, similar to what we saw from the anger phantom. And it can't end the frenzy or stall another frenzy while it's in this mode. Eidolon's opportunity gives it an attack of opportunity. Eidolon's wrath. This was the one we saw, I believe the construct one gave this one. You determine the damage type when you gain the feat as a code electrical fire negative. This one I believe was like an AoE blast that it could have done. So we'll have to check out that focus spell later. Master Summoner. One of your spell slots to become 2 summoning slots of the same spell level. So that's cool. So you have 4 spell slots normally, but you can make one of them into a double summoning spell. So you would have 5 spells kind of in that way. Ostentatious Arrival. That sounds fun. If the next action you take is to manifest your Eidolon, or to cast a 3-action summoning spell, it appears in an explosion. I just want to talk for a second that you can see even the iconic summoner is having a dragon as the Eidolon. I mean, come on. All creatures in the 10-foot emanation take 1d4 fire damage, or 1d4 damage per 2 levels for manifesting your Eidolon. So in this case, it'll be level 6, it'll be 3d4. If the creature you summoned has this particular elemental trait, it does that one instead. Alright. So a bit of an AoE burst when it appears. Phase out. Eidolon is a phantom. Oh, I think we do have a few phantom ones in here. It pretty much gains resistance to all damage. It kind of fades out of reality slightly. But it can't use grapple, shove, or trip. Not bad. Tandem Strike. It's a 2-cost action to give you and your Eidolon each an attack. Both attacks don't. So if it's 2 actions for you guys to do 2 attacks, but you don't affect the multiple attack penalty until afterwards. Twin takedown, double slice, similar to that kind of effect. Boost summons. When you cast Boost Eidolon, it also targets anything you summoned. Now remember, you can technically have an Eidolon out, and then you can have a summoned creature out, and then you can have pretty much have 2 different creatures out playing at the same time. Constricting Hold. It gives your Eidolon a constrict ability, basically. If it has someone grabbed, it can do damage to it. Energy Resistance gives it the ability to increase its resistance from Energy Heart. Energy Heart normally only has half your level. This makes it your level. Hulking Size. Your Eidolon becomes large and its range increases to 10 feet. Now this could be interesting if you say did it with the plant one. Did it with the plant one, its range is 15 feet, right? When you with Tendril Strike, but 15 foot for that Field of Roots effect gives it a bigger field effect. So a little combo right there. Magical Adept. This was also one that the Fae Eidolon got, allowing it to cast more spells, basically. So if you want your Eidolon to be casting spells along with you, then you can see the Fae one is definitely the way to go. Miniaturize allows your Eidolon to shrink down to tiny. That's interesting. Burrowing lets you gain a burrow speed. Merciless Rend. So 2 slashing damage attacks in a row, and it gets Rend. So we saw up here it got Constrict. This gives it Rend, basically. You and your Eidolon are in a damaging effects area. So normally, if you and your Eidolon are in an AoE, you take the higher damage number between the 2 of you. But this means you take the lower one. That's not a bad feat, actually. Depending on if you and your Eidolon are going to be within range of each other a lot of times, that could be a good one to take. Pushing Attack. It gives the ability to shove people. Okay. Transpose is another good one. Transpose, unfortunately, it is a manipulate action, so it would provoke, which kind of sucks. But you essentially can use it to teleport between you and your Eidolon to switch places. Otherwise, that's a cool ability. Oh yes, weighty impact gives it the knockdown action for that attack. So it has the ability to knock down people. Good one. Flexible transmogrification. Each day, choose one evolution feat of 6th level or lower. Your Eidolon gains that feat. So this gives you the ability to do another 6th level evolution feat. And again, if you have the construct one, already has that as a built into it, you can make your construct really modify what it can do. Grasping limbs gives it a grapple attack on the unarmed attack. So similar to like an enemy that would hit, then spend an action to grab it, same effect. Kind of like how the weighty impact, if it hits, it can trip somebody. Link focused, right here. Your focus recovers faster. We've seen something similar with the Magus one, where the Magus can gain their focus points fast as well. Summoner's Call. You or your Eidolon take damage from a foe or hazard. Your Eidolon is manifested more than 5 feet away. So say someone hits you, you can as a reaction call your Eidolon back to you to help fight. And again, towering size makes it huge. Range 15 feet, tendril 20 feet. So you can see where I'm going with this. You can have a big plant monster. God Caller. That's a cool Eidolon. This like primal like unicorn panther. Airborne. So you have the glide ability, it gains a fly speed. Resilient Shell. That's a good one. It gives resilient to all physical damage. And Share Eidolon Magic. You can cast the innate spells your Eidolon gained. Oh, so any of the Eidolon spells that your Eidolon learned, you can cast them instead as well. Spell Repelling Form. +1 to all saves against magic. Not bad, not bad. Effortless Concentration. Ooh, this one is gonna be an automatic, in my opinion. If you're playing as a summoner, this gives you a free action to basically sustain any summon spell. There's other spells as well you can use it with, but to maintain a summon spell for free is pretty good. And just in case you're wondering, these are the summon spells it actually gives you in the drop down. Ever Vigilant Senses. Gains a +2 to perception. Can't be flanked, except by creatures that are higher level than it. It can see invisible creatures and objects. They appear concealed. When your Eidolon moves within 30 feet of an illusion, it can potentially disbelieve it automatically. Trample. Gives it the trample effect where it can move twice. Anything in its way takes damage. Link Wellspring. Gives you more recharging your abilities. Magical Master. Choose an innate spell of your Eidolon's tradition of each of the spell levels from 1 to 7, in which your Eidolon doesn't currently have an innate spell from Magical Adept. Okay. So your Eidolon gets to learn one spell from level 1 to level 7. That's really cool. True Transmogrification is funny as well. You pretty much can rebuild your Eidolon once per day. So I think we saw something similar with the Inventor, the other playtest from Guns and Gears, where you could like rebuild your construct thingy. This allows you to pretty much change your entire Eidolon's stats. I mean, it would be a nightmare to keep it maintained on like a character sheet, in my opinion, but that's really cool. Eternal Boost. Your Permanent Quicken can use this ability to either cast Boost Eidolon or Reinforced Eidolon. While Exploration, you can continuously cast it. Okay, so it pretty much stays up active the whole time. Legendary Summoner. Your ability to summon extends past your other spellcasting. This gives you the ability to use a 10th level summoning spell. Does that mean you have 10th level spell slots? You just have 10th level spells you can cast. Now the question I have about that is, what kind of stuff can we summon at 10th level? 10th level summon spell. You know? That I think is what's gonna really be the question. So say, what do you guys look at? Let's look at Summon Dragon. 10th level up to level 15. So you can summon an adult gold dragon. You can summon that's a pretty big creature. CR 15 huge dragon. Yep. That's solid. Twin Eidolon. So this is interesting as well. You pretty much double your, so if you made this like beast mode of an Eidolon, at level 20 you can pretty much double its effects. Packed with twice of it. Could you imagine two of you just like going to imagine if you had I think I talked about this in the playtest. You have a dragon Eidolon and you can become a dragon copy of it. So you can have two of you casting breath weapons, going draconic frenzy, have all crazy stats. I mean, that's crazy. That's pretty cool. We'll go to the focus spells for the summoner quick, and then that should be it for the video before we go into our review phase. Boost Eidolon, we've seen this quite a bit. The Boost Eidolon and Reinforce don't cast a focus point, so you can recast them continuously. Boost Eidolon gives the +2 to damage rolls, and there's more damage over how many damage dice it can do. So +2 to your damage, which remember at a higher level it becomes automatic. Eidolon's Wrath, that was that one we saw that can do different elemental types. Does 5d6 damage of the type you choose, and the damage goes up, so it gives it this 20-foot AoE burst. Evolution Surge, this was from the playtest as well. This one allows you the ability to essentially quickly temporarily give it an effect. Say if it needs low light or dark vision, if it needs to breathe, it has an ability to do this while, you know, not having to spend a feat for it. So, you know, you can make it large temporarily for 1 minute, or you can make it have a fly speed if you need it to. Extend Boost allows you to extend the effect of your Boost Eidolon or Reinforce Eidolon spell. So as opposed to having to cast the spell continuously, you can use it, but you can then kind of go, okay, success, it lasts 3 rounds, critical success, 4 rounds, and so forth. So you can extend the boost to, if you're going to use Reinforced or Boost Eidolon a lot, that's a really good focus spell to kind of use it for. Lifelink Surge, your Eidolon gains fast healing 4 for 4 rounds. Remember, that also means you essentially gain fast healing 4. So 16 hit points, and it goes up as you heighten it. So essentially, you know, up to hit points every turn you can heal up. Reinforced Eidolon, +1 to AC saving throws and resistance to damage equal to half your level. Now you cannot cast Boost and Reinforce, you have to choose one. So this is pretty much your defensive spell cast. Unfettered Eidolon, we talked about this. You cast it for 1 minute, and your Eidolon can break that 100-foot tether. However, if the spell ends and it's outside of the zone, it demanifests. And that's it, apparently. I feel like there's a lot more focus spells than I thought there was. But alright. So with that, the Summoner. What do we think about the Summoner? I hate to say it, but I'll say it like what I said last time. I think the Summoner is a really awesome class. I think it blows the Magus out of the water, personally. I hate to say it, I feel like the Magus was a really good class. I feel like the Magus was, like I said in the video, it's one of my favorite classes in Pathfinder generally. But the Summoner has so much versatility to how you can build it. With the Eidolon and the evolution feats, you can pretty much cater it to anything you wanted to. Whereas opposed to the Magus, I felt like you had a lot less options what to do with it. And being able to cast from any spell list, so you're almost like a sorcerer at this point, really. You have this cool thing, so you can cast spells. You and your Eidolon can cast spells. You can have an Eidolon that can go in and do tons of damage. You can even have a build where like your Eidolon and you become like a double tag teaming duo. I mean, I think Summoner is an awesome class. I think the Summoner, like I said it before in the playtest, may take up a slot in many people's parties with the release of this book. I feel like a Summoner is essentially a way for you to kind of be both the arcane caster and the frontline at the same time. We talked about a bit in the Magus video, where as a Magus you have to kind of, you're doing the arcane and martial at the same time as well, and hopefully you can do both pretty good. The summoner has to do both, but can do it with more of detachment to it. They have more hit points. They have a lot more effects. They can choose any spell list they want, basically. So the versatility is just a lot more than what the Magus has, in my opinion. What do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments down below. I'll be very curious to hear what you guys think about it. And I hope you guys have been enjoying these Pathfinder 2nd edition videos. I love kind of taking these deep dive look into these classes, into these different things from the books, and kind of seeing what the class has to offer. So hope you guys are enjoying this, and thank you guys for watching my Pathfinder 2e videos.